Everybody, it's Gail from Gail's Bookish Things, and as I always say, I'm here for a quick video, and it ends up being quite a ramble. I will try to keep it brief because I have been popping in this week with some remarks on my pens and inks already, so I will just get you up to date if this is something you're interested in. For this week, I'm going to be using 2 pens and 1 color. But we'll talk about that in a moment. Just to recap, last week, June 6th through today, the 13th, I was using the Vinta Carnival in my Franklin Christoph Fine Signib and my TWSBI Eco 1.1. I also later, a few days into the week, decided to try my new sample a little bit more, the Vinta Lamy. It's a sea kelp, which I think is a great description of that color. And I kind of did a few things because I thought the Carnival was a super pretty color. It worked very nicely on Tomoe River paper. It kept up really well with my longer writing sessions in my journal that I'm writing a story in. The color is very similar to Lamy Tourmaline, though, I think. So that would probably be why I wouldn't buy it for now. I did like the color. This is the Vinta Carnival in the TWSBI Eco. So they look really quite a bit different, I think. I think there's a lot more greenish undertone showing through here, like a turquoisey or a sea green. And this is more like, I guess what I would call like a teal or a turquoise. So again, here on my comments, I just put it was similar to Lamy, so would probably not buy right now. It feels nice. It probably doesn't wow me in the same way that the Laguna did when I tried that sample. That one I just started writing with another Vinta ink, and I was like, oh yeah, this is really good. It just was super wet and flowy, and just felt like it was easy to write with it on the various papers. Let's see, but this is still very nice. This is Tomoe River paper here in my little swatch book. This is the 52 GSM though, so I'm not sure how much difference there is in how the paper receives the ink. Kind of like this finer quality, but a lot of mine are 68 GSM. So anyway, seem to agree with me more on the 52. And then I decided just a couple days later on 6/8/21 to switch those 2 pens out because I felt like they were just running dry. So both the TWSBI and the Franklin Christoph with this ink ended up being where I wasn't like loving picking up the pen and writing with it. It sort of started to bother me because I felt like it was just too dry. So I put the Vinta Lamy in my TWSBI Eco Clear, this one, which is something else now. It was very wet and flowy in that. And then I tried the Fortaleza I had going, which has this lovely shading, another Vinta ink, and it's so similar to the Diamine sepia, which I did a video on. So, and I think I've talked about this, but I switched over then and put the Alt Goldgrün in a pen instead, so I was just working on 2 inks, kind of focusing on how I like those in the different pens and in the different paper. And as much as I like this coloring, it's just was also starting to annoy me. It's like it comes out nicely at first. I loved it, and then it was just like, this is just bugging me because it just seemed too dry. Seemed to run more dry the more I used it. It's like you first start writing and it's wonderful, and then that goes away. So didn't stick with that. I believe I touched on this on my last video. I still have the Jade Noir in one of these 2 pens. I keep forgetting. I think it's in my green one. And not that it matters, but and then the purple, I think I have the Edelstein Olivine. Those 2 are just have been very consistently working well on my Tomoe River paper and the Cosmo paper. So I haven't switched these out. I'm just adding some new pens, and I'm trying to work through these. I think I have about a third of the barrel still on those. They're just nice writing experiences. I don't have any trouble with those, and I've just been hesitant to take the ink out of them and try something else. So for my ink of the week, I'm just adding 2 new pens again. And I will say, as I have been saying, because I'm really enjoying this, so my Leonardo Momento Zero broad nib is working so well with the Kujaku ink. I might just keep that the ink I always use in this. I think that the Lamy tourmaline ink would be pretty in it as well. And I don't try to match them anymore, but I like with this special pen having kind of its go-to ink, I guess. So the experience is so pleasant in this, I don't want to switch it out. But anyway, so I guess I've determined that as much as I love the Alt Goldgrün color, it's not a go-to ink for me. I end up finding it frustrating to write with. I don't enjoy writing with it, and then I just want to switch it out. I would have a hard time picking if I had to buy the Ventilati though, or I do have the Alt Goldgrün, but if I had to pick one, it would be a toss-up. It would be very hard to pick. This one generally goes a little deeper of a green. And when I first wrote this, I said it was really wet and flowy. But as I used it more, I liked it a little bit less. And I keep going back to those 2 greens that I mentioned down here. So this week, and by the way, this looks like I have bloody fingers. I was inking up the Lamy Safari, and I got the Ancient Copper by Diamine all over my fingers, even though I tried to be careful. It's what I do. So I haven't even washed my hands. It's part of the experience, right? This will be week 13. I have Diamine Ancient Copper in both my clear lidded TWSBI Eco broad nib and the Lamy Safari Mango broad nib. I have mentioned numerous times that is generally my favorite kind of size nib to write with, so I thought it would be fun to try the same ink again, but with 2 different makes of broad nibs and see which I tend to prefer the ink with. I am trying to make an attempt, I guess I could say, at figuring out if some of my bottled inks or even samples, which pens I like them the best in. I do really like this color, and I'd kind of forgotten about it for quite a few weeks, and then I thought, oh man, I haven't tried my Ancient Copper in a while. We're trying to hold it to the light to see if there's much of a shimmer, and I feel like there's a little bit here, but I don't know if that's what it's supposed to have or if that's residual in the nib from something else. It's showing some of like a slight green shading with the TWSBI Eco, and it almost looks like this is drying darker. Well, I don't know why that would be, if this broad puts down more ink as you're writing than the TWSBI. It kind of fits the general rule of thumb that I've been learning about, where the German-made nibs are more broader. The broad is more broad than say something like a TWSBI, but I don't know if that's it or just the difference of the nib. So I've liked this ink already. I have tried it in my Kavecos, and as I have also mentioned, those tend to keep running dry on any kind of length of writing for me, except for the fine nib. Jen was generous enough to give me a fine nib one. That one doesn't give me a problem, but the broad nibs do. So anyway, these are the featured inks of the week. I'll try to incorporate these more in my journaling this week, especially when I'm working on my story. But I did do this one yesterday and wrote for quite a while and had no problem really. Every so often it seemed like the pen needed to take a breather. But I'm talking like writing, 6 pages or something, and then I just gave it a minute, or kind of gave it just a little gentle shake, and then it started writing a little bit more wetly again, but really kept up with it well. So I'm going to try that with this and see how that ink goes with those 2 pens, and then we'll talk about that next week. I'm already at week 13. This has been kind of fun. It's really helped me analyze my little ink collection more closely and reconsider, contemplate a little further which inks I'm enjoying using. I've also been playing around with these, but not necessarily featuring them as an ink of the week right now, but these really nice colors that I received from my friend Kim. The Carub de Chypre. This means carob of Cyprus, I found out, which is cool because that's what it really looks like, a kind of a chocolate. And then this one I won't even try to pronounce, and the Storm I haven't used yet, but I'm looking forward to dabbling with that. I find I get very impatient, or maybe just restless to try a new ink. I can only write for a little while with any ink, and then I'm on to wanting to try something else. So maybe you're like that too. There's so many selections. I have lots of nice samples people have sent me, and it's just fun to experiment with all of them. So anyway, I guess overall this one, beautiful ink color, but similar to what I have. So for me it would be a hold, and then I would definitely reevaluate the Vinta Carnival when I get to the point where I need a color like that again. I am pretty stocked up with the Lamy Tourmaline and the Pilot Iroshizuku Kujaku, so I'm good with that. But it was certainly really fun to try that. It's a very, very pretty color. I enjoyed that. So thank you, Donna, for sending that to me. Hope you're all having a great weekend. It's Sunday already. Tomorrow's Monday. Have a good week. Hope you're staying cool. It's like 90 something here. It's really hot and muggy. But hope you're doing well. Talk to you next time. Bye.